Welcome to Co-op Mode, round 54. This is the official video game podcast of Secret Friends Unite. I'm your host, Todd Oxtra, joined by co-host extraordinaire, the Canardian, Mark Carabin.
Woohoo! How you doing?
Things are good. It's like weight has been lifted off our collective shoulders, I would say. Yeah, it's nice to not have anything to really talk about every day except the new Bernie Sanders memes.
I've been loving those Bernie memes. Holy crap. I actually saw there's a little group chat with my wife's family that we have, and her mother sent this like picture of birds, and it was just like she was just sending it to like identify different birds that you can see in like a little game to play with kids and stuff. And but I spent like 5 minutes looking at it trying to find the hidden Bernie Sanders, and that's how broken my brain is now. And there's no hidden Bernie Sanders or Birdie Sanders. It was just a picture of birds, but I was just like, where's Bernie? And I'm just broken, straight up just broken. But the horse is out of the hospital, so yeehaw.
Absolutely. We are joined by a new friend that's joining us on the co-op couch this week, and that is musician and DLC soundtrack artist Sean Madigan. Welcome, Sean.
Hello. Nice to be here. Thank you.
We're very happy to have you on. Like I said, DLC is one of the primary reasons why I got into podcasting, and I have bumpers on my other podcast because of basically inspired by your great bumper work that I love so much. It's fantastic. Are you asked to do that, or do you just say, hey, I came up with this, guys, use it?
Yeah, I've never asked. I think it's more of a usually I think this will be funny sort of situation. And I definitely think I excel at like 10-word songs. So it's a good fit.
That's awesome.
It's very good. You always adapt those if they change or if they change their tune. So appreciate that. But Sean, when someone is new on our podcast, we like to know a little bit more about you. So we'd like to hear about your gaming geek origin. What made you turn into a gamer?
My origin probably would be my grandmother and my mom, actually. So my grandmother, I used to be at her house like all summer every year. And she would play either Mario Brothers or Dr. Mario or what was that one game? Solomon's Key. She would play that nonstop. So I would just watch her constantly.
Grandma.
And then we eventually like got that gifted to my family. My mom would just sit there and play the McDonald's McKids game. So I think that's pretty much how I got into it. And then from there too, my grandma would be super into computers and always get new computers. So we'd get those like secondhand too, and that way I'd be able to play PC games.
Your grandmother sounds like a badass.
She's super right now actually into every weekend she will go meet up at her sister's house with her three sisters, and they'll play Red Dead like all next to each other with tiny TVs in front of them and just like be playing Red Dead online all weekend. It's ridiculous. They're super into it. I'll try to get her to play something else. I think she just likes riding horses and being like in a Western, so she's stuck in that.
That is amazing.
She went past what, Barbie Horse Adventures to right to Red Dead.
Oh, definitely. That, and she's playing some Ice Truckers game. I gave her a steering wheel, and she was very excited about that.
What's that one new game? Is it Snow Runners or something?
Snow Runner, that's it, yeah.
Yeah. God, people love that game. Driving trucks and not dying. So Mark, you're familiar with that. I'm familiar with that. Sean, you're I don't know if you get as much snow, but Minnesota, that's our life. Oh my goodness. Well, that is cool. I love to hear that. It's always funny to hear people the weird venues that gets people into gaming, and this is the first time I've heard someone's grandmother got them into it. So yeah, there we go. So Mark, Loren has some work to do when she has grandkids, right?
Yeah, I guess I have to get my mom playing video games so Finn can have like a cool gaming grandma. I don't know I don't know how much that's gonna work. Yeah, that's pretty badass.
Awesome. Well, very cool. Well, before we get into the rest of the show, very quickly, we had a hotline call, but superfan Henry Nias has a question for us about a game called Gang Beasts.
My name is Henry Nias, and do you have any good tips for Gang Beasts?
We just found out that Sean is actually the Gang Beast champions of the world. So, Sean, give us your hints and tips, buddy.
No pressure.
Yeah, I don't know about champion, but I played a little bit with friends, and I would definitely suggest with Gang Beast getting many of your like family or friends, whoever you can right now in this time is like it's a hard thing to do, but it's definitely a fun game to have people you love playing with you and just getting mad at each other and messing around.
This is a real suggestion actually to have Henry play with his grandma, maybe.
Oh,
Yeah.
definitely.
That sounds reasonable.
All the family members.
I haven't played the game, but once I saw this question come in, I started watching some clips on YouTube and stuff, and it seems like it's just an absolutely wacky game that you can't take too seriously because it seems like just random stuff happens all the time, which I love, but I can also get super frustrated with sometimes playing those kind of games where it's just like I want to be good at this game, but also here's some random thing and some crazy physics, something that's just throwing off everything. So even though I haven't played it, I'm going to say try not to take it too seriously when you inevitably lose. And even if you win, like just try to have fun with it, right? Like just it just doesn't seem like the kind of game that lends itself to like any type of strategy working long term. Would I be right there, Sean? Just based on, like I said, like some YouTube clips and stuff.
Yeah,
I want to try this game. It looks wacky.
You'll definitely be trying to push your friend off the edge, and your hand just gets stuck, so you fall down too.
Hoisted by your own petard. Oh my goodness. Sean did send me like video of Henry playing this. Of course, he's like 6 inches away from the TV, jumping up and down, getting so excited about it, and that's the best thing. I'm like, it doesn't matter what size TV you have. You got to have the biggest TV in the world. A kid will be 6 inches away from it when they play games.
Yep.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. And Henry had another question. He didn't leave a voicemail for this one, but it was, is there an Xbox-like controller that basically is more similar to the DualShock 4 or DualSense? And I took that as more so the sticks than the features of the DualSense because those are pretty new features. So I'm thinking the symmetrical sticks. The only one I could find was one of those really high-end like SCUF controllers, I think. It's wired, unfortunately, but you can swap out the D-pad and the left stick and just swap them out. But beyond that, I'm not aware of any.
Yeah, I don't think so. I see, and when I hear that question, I'm thinking more of like those cool new features because I finally went hands-on with a PlayStation 5, played a little bit of Astro's Playroom, and holy crap, that controller is impressive. So if that's kind of like what Henry means here is, you know, the controller, the adaptive triggers, and that like specific kind of rumble. Right now, I don't think Xbox has anything, and I think based on some surveys that they've sent out asking people like, would you be interested in seeing a controller like this? I think they're kind of in catch-up mode. So I don't know if it'll be this year or next year, but I think whether it's a new controller or the Elite Series 3 or something, I think we're going to see at least some adaptive triggers and some new stuff with Rumble trying to play catch up, because the PlayStation 5 controller is like the evolution of the Joy-Con and the Pro Controller and the stuff that Nintendo's been doing with Rumble. And Xbox is still kind of like, well, you know, we kind of added some grips and stuff, but like their controller's kind of pretty much just a small step evolution that they've been going on since like the 360. So yeah, it's I think that's one area where the Xbox controller is my favorite controller still, without those extra features and everything. But I think the feeling of like, this is new and shiny and exciting, they're kind of missing this generation, even though like legitimately that's still my favorite controller. So Sean, how did you take this one when you heard that question?
I definitely took it as the sticks as well. So yeah, I don't know that there is an option really. And you mentioning the Xbox Series X controller not being too much different, I will say after playing with that, if I go back now to my Xbox One controller, it does feel like trash, even though
yeah,
it's barely
sure.
any different.
It
It's
feels
really
more
just
premium,
the grippiness. It
yeah.
does it all for me.
It's funny.
Sure.
I've had so many issues getting the Series S/X controller to work on my PC that I've actually had to go back to the Xbox One controller on my PC because I have had no connection issues with that controller, but on the new one, it drops connection completely. So it's really ruined that experience, which sucks. But since I have a Series S and X now, I play there with that controller.
There's something with the Series controller because they haven't, or they need to release a firmware update to make it even work with like iOS devices. And like my Xbox One controllers work flawlessly. Apple TV, iPad, my phone, whatever I'm using, like it's just here you go, connect to it. You take a Series controller and it's just like, I don't know, bro, you're on your own. Like it's like, why isn't that working? It should be just the same. You'd think it just, so there is something janky going on with the Series controller, but when you try to use it on any other device. But so whatever goblins are running around in that system, it's kind of confusing. But luckily, yeah, it's kind of a more premium feeling one, and the Xbox One controllers still work with everything else. But it is a weird hiccup to have where it is so similar. But yeah, I don't know. I still love the Xbox controller just feels so good, but it does not feel revolutionary in any way right now.
No. So that actually gets a good transition point to what we've been playing. So Sean, you've been playing a lot of PS5. So
yes.
You've had lots of time with the DualSense. So you've really just been diving into these games. So quick take on the PS5 so far?
Yeah, so speaking of the controller specifically, you mentioned Astro's Playroom. I sort of have played a little bit of that. My wife mostly did, and my kid was like going crazy about it because she would do the time mission modes or whatever, where you're trying to do the level in a certain amount of time, and it would count down 3, 2, 1, and she would die constantly, and my kid was just like counting down 3, 2, 1 over and over again. He loved it. Kept coming downstairs like hand us the controller, but the game does not have any save slot, so I couldn't play my own game since she was on my account. So I got a couple of the puzzle pieces, but that really like shows off the controller to its fullest extent, and the rumble feels crazy, like going from one surface to another. And I didn't like in the PS4 the microphone in the controller. But in PS5 and in Astro's Playroom, it constantly has what like surface you're walking on coming out of the speaker, and it sounds great. And
I think that sorry, I was gonna say the sound. I was impressed, to your point, like how much that added to the experience, like you said, with the different surfaces. And I stopped, like my brother got the PS5 and I was just playing that just very briefly, but I said, like, I don't know if it's the rumble that's really selling this or the sound or a combination of both. And I really think you need both, because yes, you could kind of feel different surfaces and different textures underneath your feet, but when you're walking on glass and it added that little ting, 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 or if you were walking on something heavier and it was like rustling, to me, it was that combination of like, yeah, they nailed this symmetry between really smart rumble like they did in Switch, but the Switch doesn't have that speaker. So I think like that's really selling me. So as someone with like more experience, yeah, that's you're kind of on the same
I totally agree. And
there.
Switch 2, I think it's only like the one remote, so it's like half of the system is actually rumbling. But yeah, in Astro's Playroom, it really shows it off, and the triggers as well. There's so many sections where like you have to pop a balloon or something, so you're pulling the trigger a little bit, and then you have to pull it hard halfway, pretty much. It didn't like blow me away, but that pretty much exact scenario happens a lot, and it was pretty cool. But I will say, like, besides Astro's Playroom, the other two games I played, Bugsnax and Spider-Man, don't really do as much for it with the controller, not showing it off as much. But with Bugsnax, like as soon as I got my PS5, that's for some reason the first game I played. And people kept talking about how like the ending was like shocking and dark for some reason. Like I was thinking like Twin Peaks in my head, like, oh, this is gonna be like this fun game that has this super dark undertone to it. But I didn't really find that. But as I played through the game, it just had so many fun mechanics, and just catching all of the bug snacks was kind of hitting my like OCD brain, where I just wanted to get everything as soon as I got to a new area, like collect everything I could as I went. Same thing with Spider-Man, which I'll talk about. But as I played through it, like the story, even though it wasn't like as crazy as I thought it was gonna be, it was like a cool story that they had just kind of throughout the like missions in between as you went. So it was a really good time. I had platinum that, which was my first PlayStation Platinum, since I've never really had a PlayStation before.
Sean, I've owned every PlayStation. I've never gotten a platinum. I guess I need to go to Bugsnax then.
Yeah, it was pretty easy actually.
Yeah.
Did either of you play Bugsnax?
I did. I played the intro. I basically got to the island, just got started, but I just love it, the fact that you're basically a reporter investigating. The Bugsnax are very cute. The way you capture them, they look like Muppets, so it's kind of and they do the weird Bugsnax, growing the arms. It's just a fun game, and I think it's a great way to, it was very, like, Mark, I think you talked about the whole meminess of the game. Is this like snakes on a plane, or is it going to be a big thing, or is it going to fall flat? And I think it's not set the world on fire, but it also didn't disappoint really anybody.
Yeah, just saying, like, hearing Sean say that he expected heard the story was a little bit darker. I'm like, there's a story to Bugsnax that's actually engaging. That's kind of awesome, because we did kind of speculate, like, is this going to just be like the meme game that no one ends up playing because it was like funny with a little song and all that kind of stuff, and then when it came out, it was like, is this going to have snakes on a plane syndrome, which is like, it's funnier to meme it than it is to play. So it's really cool hearing that it's actually pretty solid.
Yeah, I definitely had a good time with it.
Mark, you have PS Plus, right?
Yes.
Get it.
Maybe it might have expired.
Do you still get your PS Plus things when they come up, like the games?
I haven't turned the PlayStation on in a bit.
No, you can do it on do it on the app or on your PC. I did the same thing with Xbox games.
I don't think the app's downloaded, but all right, I'll check it out.
Yeah, just like if you're like, I was lapsed with an Xbox, I would still get all the games with gold. So I own like 285 games with gold, even when I wasn't completely like in Xbox land. But yeah, if you're subscribed, get them, and then you get it, because I think Bugsnax was free until this month, or maybe it's gone already, but still.
Yeah, it was.
If you're gonna get a PlayStation, you have PlayStation. You have a PlayStation 4.
I might have grabbed it. I just haven't turned the PlayStation on, since I'm very enthralled with all the Xbox shenanigans. The app's saying to sign into PlayStation. I'm not gonna do that while we're recording live.
But you'll download Gang Beasts.
That was a quick search, because I know Game Pass is there and logged in, and stop bugging me, Todd.
Well, Bugsnax bug you. So Spider-Man Miles Morales, I beat that. Oh wow, a couple weeks ago. Love that game.
Yeah, it was super fun. I've been playing it for probably like 3 days or something now, but I'm not like barely anywhere in the story, because I've just been like doing literally everything I can along the way for some reason. Just like I cannot stop. And yeah, it looks so beautiful, and I've had the Xbox Series X since when it came out, and got like Assassin's Creed Valhalla and Immortals Phoenix Rising. Neither of those really like blew me away, or even really made me excited about like next gen graphics. I guess because they're also on old gen. But Spider-Man looks so good. It's like the first game I've seen on next gen that really shows. And I think it's the first game I've played with ray tracing, so that's probably a good reason why.
Help. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just so fun running around. I love the combat in that game. And I did try there's like the high fidelity mode that has the ray tracing, and then there's the performance mode, or whatever it might be called, that has 60 frames per second. And I switched over to that, and didn't look any different really to me. And I have like a fancier TV that has like the automatic refresh rate kind of thing, and it's like 120 hertz, but still didn't really notice any like difference like for having better frame rates. But either way, it looks really good. But yeah, I've been playing that for hours.
Pro tip:
nice.
Use the Spider-Verse suit and turn on the feature that basically makes it like you're playing in the Spider-Verse. It changes the animation style, the movement. It also adds like cloud like word bubbles of like pow bang. It is so awesome.
I just did that yesterday, and that movie is probably one of my favorite movies. But as soon as I turned that on in the game, it just started making me sick.
Oh, it's weird.
I was like, I cannot do this.
It's like 24 frames per second or something like movie.
Yeah.
Like speed, yeah. And somebody recreated the that iconic frame with Miles kind of like diving in the game itself. It was awesome.
Yeah, I love how he does that whenever he swings around. Looks just like the movie as far as I can remember.
What do you think of the soundtrack? Because I thought the soundtrack was fantastic and it really blended well with Miles.
Yeah, for the game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's great. The same with the first Spider-Man game. The music just really has like that superhero feel, and I feel like it gets stronger and more powerful like as you're getting into fights, and just mixes in with the like dialogue perfectly.
Yeah, really when I think it's right when it's like after the first mission. Miles is really, I think it's right after he gets a spider suit from Peter, and that one rap track comes on, and it's just like, wow, that is like cinematic beyond belief. I feel like I'm watching the movie.
Yeah, and it really has its own feel to compare like to the first game because of that.
So, Sean, you and I have both played probably the shortest game that we'll ever take to complete, and that is the Resident Evil 8 Maiden demo, or is it Resident Evil Village? I don't know. I'm so confused. It's got Roman numerals in the letter. I think that's why they did it. Somebody actually joked us as for Resident Evil 9, are they going to do like a helix or something like that? Where they can do the IX? So I'm like, I just wait to see what they do. But I'm assuming you beat it because it's like 15 minutes long.
Yes, I think so. It definitely shows as like a visual demo or whatever they're calling it, I think, which is part of the reason I was able to force myself to play it. Because like the Resident Evil 7, I had to just watch my brother play it because I couldn't play it by myself. So I knew going into this that there wasn't much or any combat. So I was able to make it through it. And it wasn't actually as scary as I thought it was going to be. So I was happy about that. But it looks so good. Like I think the point of it is really to show off how the visuals look in the game, and it really shows you start out in a dungeon and move into the mansion, I think, which is going to be mostly where you are in the game, and it just looks so pretty.
The sound got me. I was wearing the 3D Pulse headsets that the PlayStation comes with. I'm not sure if it was utilizing that 3D sound. I'm assuming it did, but your own footsteps freak you out. You're like, is that definitely me, or is that somebody coming? And it's just a really cool demo. It definitely feels like the continuation of Resident Evil 7, the first-person perspective, the kind of creepy, almost, that different perspective really adds a lot to the terror in a way, because you can't see around you. Your viewpoint is really restrictive. But yeah, and this is essentially exclusive. There's going to be another demo, I believe, but this is exclusive PS5. I'm not sure if this will go everywhere, but there's another demo coming. But this one is actually not actually in the game. So it's not going to ruin anything for you. You can play it and get a feel for it, but it's not like this is going to be something you repeat again. So I like that.
I wonder, too, for this one, they will do what they did for 7's demo, where it was similar, where it wasn't anything in the game, and there was like a dead finger you could find, and it didn't do anything, and then they updated it later where it actually did something. So there's something similar in this one where you find an item that doesn't really do anything. So I'm wondering where that's going to go.
Yeah, so yeah, I hope this actually goes broader, but obviously this was something exclusive to PlayStation 5 right now, so it's kind of nice to see the visuals. And I believe this is launching PS4 first and Xbox first. And I'm going to talk more about Resident Evil in the news section. But yeah, this is fun. Check it out if you have PS5. Definitely check it out, guys. And Sean, you've played you've got some other quick takes on some things. So Wattam is a game I kind of know, but the name sounds familiar, but I don't know anything about it really.
Yeah, so basically, since I haven't had a PlayStation device pretty much since the PlayStation 2, so I just went on, they had their holiday sale, and I went through and bought a bunch of stuff just to see if my kid would enjoy watching me play other things. So this one's like from the creator of Katamari Damacy and Nobi Nobi Boy. So it's super interesting looking, that I would think to a child. So I saw like on the IGN review, they described it as a cross between like a children's show and an acid trip. which I think is pretty accurate. So it's just everyone, all these characters colorful and laughing constantly, but they just don't make any sense and everything's super weird. But you basically like start as one character and you do something that makes you become another character. Like you might plant a seed and then you become a tree out of that seed. There's a point where a toilet shows up and you can use actually a mouth first, then use the mouth to eat things to poop out like poop emojis, and then you use a toilet to flush the poop emojis. It's very weird. And I honestly didn't find it that fun because it was the tasks were just like get to the next person over and over again. And it became repetitive pretty quickly.
This sounds like a perfect game for kids. I mean, poop emojis, toilets, yeah. And Mark.
Who doesn't like acid trips, really? I mean,
and then the last game, Knights and Bikes.
Don't like acid trips.
Yeah, kids love acid trips, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Knights and Bikes. It's a Double Fine published game. I think it's probably like 2 years old, but I don't think it was ever on Xbox. So, or maybe it was, but I didn't play it. But I got that to again see if my kid would like watching it. He's like 2.5, so can't play anything, but he can watch. But also it's made for co-op, so I thought I could play with my wife. And we did play it, and it was really fun. It's like a top-down kind of action adventure sort of game. We only got as far as each of your characters has like one thing they can do, like kick puddles or throw a frisbee. But you're just doing puzzles, like using those and discovering what the characters kind of have to offer. They have super unique personalities, and the presentation in the game is really cool with its humor, and the art looks really cool. But yeah, I definitely recommend playing that. I'm going to play it some more.
It kind of reminds me of like, I mean, they've made Costume Quest, which I really love that series. It's kind of, is it in that same vein, or is it's not?
Yeah, definitely.
It's not turn-based?
Not
like,
turn-based, yeah. Maybe more like Zelda kind of thing, but not as much combat as that. It's more low-key. Like I don't think anything can hurt you as far as I've gotten at least.
Nice. Yeah, I like the art style. It's very cool, almost like a bizarro Nickelodeon show or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very, very cool. Well, thank you. This is it's always good to have some more stuff on our radar that I definitely was not on my radar. And, you know, Mark is too busy playing Xbox on his Super Elite console, where I'm just sitting back and playing on my Series S. Oh, well, Mark, you and I both played Scott Pilgrim. Yeah. We both got codes. So thank you again to Ubisoft Canada. They kick ass, man.
Thank you. Yeah, the Ubisoft Canada has been amazing. And so thank you to them for, again, providing these review codes. And I was so excited to get this code in particular. Not that I wasn't excited to get like other codes and stuff, but like Scott Pilgrim, I loved this game when it was originally out. I had it on 360. It was such a fun old school beat 'em up throwback that just felt so good, so right. Everything just like, it's just great. I just and going back to it now, it was just the same. It was just felt like I had just played it the other day and was just jumping right back into an old favorite. So it's really good. I love this, like the franchise all around, like Scott Pilgrim, but it works so well as a video game. But like the movie, books, whatever. And Todd, I think I told you a bit of this story, but I have a fun Scott Pilgrim story about getting lost in Toronto. And so that's where this film and movie and franchise takes place in downtown Canada Land, Toronto. So I was there I used to recruit for a university. So I was there doing some recruiting, and I wasn't supposed to be there. They called me on, I think it was a Saturday night. I was supposed to go somewhere else for the next week. And I got a phone call, and it was like, how soon can you be in Toronto? And I was like, I don't know, tomorrow, I guess. And they're like, cool, yeah, you're on this flight. You're going to stay in this hotel and like do all this stuff. And I was like, okay, cool. Like meet me at the airport and give me a car, I guess. So I packed up and flew to Toronto and like had this like weird, like rudimentary kind of schedule kind of thing. But I learned a very important lesson of the difference between drive and street. And I can't remember the exact street that I was looking for, but I left one school and was like, hey, where's the next school? And they were like, I don't know, Alphabet Street. And I was like, cool. And I get out to my car and I typed in Alphabet Drive in the GPS. And I ended up going about half an hour in the wrong direction and ended up at a strip club instead of a Catholic high school.
It happens to me all the time.
Yeah, if I had $1 for every time that happened when I was trying to find a Catholic high school. Anyway, so Destiny was a great student that I recruited. No, I'm just joking. I did not go into the strip club. I instead was like, I called some other people that I knew that were like doing the same kind of little recruitment tour and was like, hey, here's where I am. Where are you guys? And they're like, you are literally an hour away from where you're supposed to be, because like I said, half hour in the wrong direction. So I was just like, you know what? Screw it. That's my last appointment for the day. I'm going to go to all the places where Scott Pilgrim was filmed around Toronto. And I spent the next couple of hours just driving around Toronto and being like, hey, that was in the movie. Hey, that was in the movie. And that was just like awesome. A fun kind of day. So like, yeah, I made the best of a bad situation without even having to go into the strip club. So win-win. But yeah,
I could have gone differently if you did, Mark. Just think about it.
I know. Like, hey kids, How I Met Your Mother. I don't know, but no, it's I've been just watching that show, so that was anyway, yeah. No strip club for me, just Scott Pilgrim touring. But yeah, playing this game not only brought back those memories, but also just like memories of playing this game on 360. And I just went back and watched the movie again, and I have been absolutely loving Scott Pilgrim. If you're a fan of any kind of old school beat 'em up, Double Dragon, Battletoads, whatever, just get this game. Like it's so good. It's tough. It will absolutely hand your ass straight to you. But if you can get a couple of friends, just go through it together, and it's just so much fun, and it's so satisfying when you do beat a tough part. It is so good. So, Todd, what's your experience? Any strip clubs in your experience with Scott Pilgrim, or you just had a more stand?
No, I don't think I've ever talked to a stripper about Scott Pilgrim, but maybe that's a good pickup line. Wait, my wife would not approve of that, so let's not do that. Maybe I'll tell Logan that's your he's 15, so he's got to learn somehow. Logan, you're gonna become a man. Talk about Scott Pilgrim when you go to your first strip club.
Warning him if Henry's listening to this.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah. Henry. That's a place where you tear down wallpaper. A strip club.
There we go.
You ask your dad all about it. Yeah, there you go. No, Scott Pilgrim, man. I remember. This is actually going back, Sean. I used to listen to the Totally Rad Show, and they talked about Scott Pilgrim. It got me into this comic book. I absolutely adored it. I believe there's a color version of the comic book out now too. Yep. Absolutely adored it, and just was all in on Scott Pilgrim. Thought it was the coolest thing in the world. And then I played the game, and I couldn't get past the first level.
Oh no!
It's just really it's balls hard, and you do have to have. So I think co-op. This game screams co-op. It does have online co-op, which I have not tried yet, and there's no cross play, which would be fantastic, because I'd be like, hey Mark, carry your buddy Todd through this game. That'd be fantastic. But maybe I can convince Logan to play with me. That'd be great to do couch co-op. But yeah, it's a great game. I played I tried out all the modes. I didn't realize there were so many different modes, like a zombie mode.
More than one mode?
Mm-hmm. There's like a kickball mode in a way, where you have to kick a ball and hit into people to kill them, and then you have to last so long. There's basically a boss rush mode, and there's apparently eight or nine bosses, and this game has all of the extra characters that you might not have gotten the first time. And this game, unfortunately, the original game is trapped on my PS3 account, which will never be seen again. So I'm glad this is out. And actually, this is like, I guess it's what is it? Blanking on the name that does the physical copies.
Oh yeah, that's
limited run or one of those. Is it them or is it one of the other? Because there are other
limited run
similar companies.
Yeah, that's the only reason I haven't played the game yet. Is because I got the fancy like $150 one, and I'm waiting for that to come in.
Nice. You think that when they sold that to you, Sean, they'd be like, well, here's the digital code now.
Yeah,
you'll get
you would think
later. But
I think it's gonna be months too before they actually even start shipping them. I'll have to wait for it.
I think it was the Nintendo Nostalgia Group. Someone was like, is this game good enough to buy it digitally right now and wait for my limited run copy to come in? And I was like, oh, it's so good, but like, I don't know. You just spent so much money on that one. That's tough to answer.
Although I have 10 years, I can wait more, I think.
Yeah. But you can't open the package and keep it mint.
Oh, no, I'll open it.
Okay.
Yeah, that Scott
I've been
Pilgrim
super
is.
excited to get this on Switch because like it
Mhm.
seems like it's such a perfect game for that system, and I love it on the Xbox Series X, and it plays really well. But like I don't know, for those old school games, I want it like on my Switch for some broken reason.
Yeah. Well, I got the Switch one too, so my thought process is I could take it somewhere pretty easily once things are normal again.
But how will you
Yeah,
get ray tracing on the Switch? Oh, wait, it has no ray tracing.
true. Yeah, Scott Pilgrim 2 is
Yeah.
like probably my favorite property of anything. I have a kind of funny story too about the movie. When I was in college, we used to get free movie tickets all the time for like the ones they'd give the press. They'd have a couple for the school, and every single time we'd go to one, it would be completely packed, and you'd have to wait in line like 2 hours before the movie started to even be able to get in. But Scott Pilgrim I went to, literally no one else in the theater. It was just me. That's how hard it flopped, and it's been just crazy seeing how like much of a cult following it's gotten since then.
Mhm.
And like with the game, I feel like what we loved it, but a lot of people I think didn't know about it until it was gone, and they're like, "Whoa, now I'm into this."
Yeah, and I wonder if Nintendo's onto something where it's like after Super Mario 35 and the 3D All Star Collection will be like super popular come
Yeah.
April 1st. Maybe that's
No,
going
Mark,
away.
that
But
you know what? We're gonna have a mind wipe on April 1st, and that never even
right, we
happens.
forget what Mario is. Yeah. I'm so happy this game's back though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
And,
super
and
excited for it.
yeah, so maybe we'll see more games that kind of like, and I've talked about this, Xbox 360 games that were licensed are largely a big gaping hole of things that don't
Mhm.
work on Xbox One. Like I want to play Lollipop Chainsaw, which that game, and you're like Lollipop Chainsaw, it's James Gunn made a damn game. That's a game he made, which is awesome because James Gunn is fantastic. He makes all these things, but that's a game about a cheerleader who has her undead boyfriend next to her and she kills zombies with a chainsaw. How awesome is that? Can you play it on Xbox One? You can't.
Right.
So there you go. Yeah. So that's what we're talking about, folks. Lollipop Chainsaw, strip clubs, and Scott Pilgrim this episode. Yeah. So Mark, you're back into Mario 3D All Stars. Why?
Uh, a little bit, yeah. I don't know. I was trying to find something to play the other day, and nothing on Xbox was really talking to me, and my Joy-Con were next to me because we've been playing Super Mario Kart, whatever for Bobby's thing, the Nintendo Guru fundraiser a couple of weekends ago. And so I just picked up the Joy-Con and fired on my Switch and was like, you know what? I think I'm going to get into Galaxy because in the All-Star Collection, I played Galaxy for like 2 seconds and was like, this is the most recent one I've played. I'm going to go back and play Sunshine and 64. And playing Galaxy with the Joy-Con detached like you would with a Wii remote and nunchuck feels really good. So if you've been ignoring this, it also looks the best out of any of these. I'm gonna say remakes, but ports, whatever, emulator kind of things. It looks really good. It plays really well, and I've been really loving playing through Super Mario Galaxy. So if for no other reason, if you have the 3D All-Star Collection, try it with those detached Joy-Con. It's really a good experience. You can use the pointer to collect star bits rather than the touchscreen in like handheld mode or just like flailing around with a Pro controller. It feels really good. So yeah, it was. I'm happy that I have gone back to that game and kind of, because I really fell off of it quickly. I was like, yeah, these are great emulator ports of games that I've played 100 times. So, thumbs up and moving on. But I'm really glad I went back.
I actually love
The
holding
last game.
the controllers like that at my sides because I don't need to like have them in front of me. I can just lay down on the couch, like just like not even moving my limbs and just move my fingers.
The way God intended it.
And I liked playing that way when I first got my Switch and I didn't have a Pro controller yet. But most of the time when I'm on a TV, I want that Pro controller, especially with, drifts a little bit more commonplace. But the two controllers I was playing with, I think, are the only controllers out of the 6 sets we have in my house, or something ridiculous like that, that don't have any drift with them. So, yeah, it's been a great experience. I'm really, really having fun with it. But the downside to that is if I am playing in handheld, it feels so limited with the stupid touchscreen pointer controls and everything. And it's just like, I don't want to play Galaxy any other way than on the TV with those split Joy-Con now. So it's both made the experience infinitely better, but also ruined every other experience completely with this game. So take that as you will. Anyway, the last game that I played, it's funny that Sean earlier mentioned that that's your first platinum on the PlayStation, because this next game was my first full trophy. What do you call it on Xbox?
Was it 1,000 achievement? 1K
or whatever.
1K I'm a gamer. 1K.
Yeah. Anyway, first perfect achievement game that I've possibly ever gotten on Xbox. Certainly on my Series X. But that is Donut County, which is now on Game Pass. This is a game that I loved on iOS, played through the whole thing on my iPad. It is a delightfully stupid experience with just the most off-the-wall weird humor. But if you are a human trash panda like myself, you will probably enjoy this weird, quirky little game. It only took, I'm going to say, an hour and a half, 2 hours to beat, maybe. I had to go back for 3 achievements that were hidden to 100% this whole thing, which didn't take that much longer. It's so good. Just if you have Game Pass, just get this dumb little game. If you don't have Game Pass, find it somewhere else, pay for it. It is fantastic. I'm so glad I went back though. It's great.
Donut County is one of those cases with Game Pass where a week ago or whatever, I downloaded all those PlayStation games like I was talking about. I got that with that because it was on sale, and then Game Pass came like the next day. I was like, dang it.
It's the curse of Game Pass. Or PS Plus. It's everything. It's like, if I'm going to buy this, it's going to be free next week. Is Donut County the game you don't want to share your children? Because essentially they'll turn the toilet into that thing. Will it flush? So
maybe. Finn's not quite that dexterous yet, but he has been crawling around, so I think the next step is throwing my keys in the toilet. That's how that works, right?
You need a toilet lock, Marco.
Yeah. So that's probably not a game I want to play around him, but otherwise, even like my wife watched most of it and she was like, "What is this game?" And I was showing her like the little Trashopedia entries of like anything that you collect. There's like little raccoon style descriptions of what those items are, and I was like, the seagull one broke me completely, which was like 99% of seagulls are criminals or something like that. It was just something completely stupid. But it's just like all of the descriptions are just so good, and it's just everything about this game is just so weird, and I needed a laugh, and it was on Game Pass, and I just had to play it again.
And the rest is history. Wow, man, we're just hitting on all these awesome like opportunities, flushing in toilets, strip clubs. Yeah, we're just having a good time. But I want to get into something serious, gentlemen. This is about saving America from that evil Soviet Union in the Cold War. And how do we do that? Yeah. With Robert Redford and taking on the commies and taking them down. Yeah, I'm playing COD Blops Cold War, guys. Beat the game, beat the campaign, gentlemen. I was playing Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. It's once again dealing with that kind of Cold War era. You're taking on the Soviets. You've got this guy that's trying to sneak out nukes. It's kind of a mystery because you have to find this like kind of boogeyman in the Soviet Union. So you go on this tangent through all the different parts of that you think that you're going to experience. Like there's a flashback to Vietnam. So what are they going to do? They're going to play some Clarence Clearwater Revival, Fortunate Son, those type of things. It feels like you're in the thick. It's kind of what you would expect. They use a lot of those tropes, but man, they utilize the DualSense 5 features in regards to the haptic feedback. The trigger resistance is fantastic, and every gun feels really cool with it. So I think that's great that a major publisher like Activision is doing this with, and I love that. I think the more publishers that get behind this, the more we'll get use of this, which is great. What makes this game unique for Call of Duty, it does have branching paths, and it has alternate ways you can go and revisit missions to basically to find out other suspects. You get more evidence. You then can go on and hunt down suspects that are going to give you information to take down the big bads. And at the very end of the game, there is a branching path you can choose. And the cool part is it allows you then to go back to an old save right at that point and try it again. So I like that versus, if you forgot, you don't get the experience. So I think it's really worth a try. The game is huge, though, if you download everything. Like all of the multiplayer, Warzone, and everything is like 200 gigabytes. It's ridiculous.
That's insane.
I think I told you this, that you actually have to download the campaign in 3 different bits.
Yeah.
It's dumb. And you don't know that until you're like, wait, the campaign isn't on the disc? No, it's not. So,
wow.
Yeah, it's very weird. Welcome to the digital era where they make you download everything. Oh, well. But yeah, that's Call of Duty. I check it out. It's from GameFly. Last thing I've done is I played a trial of Luna. That's Amazon's new streaming gaming service. It works on, I believe, the Fire Stick. It also works on any browser that you have, and it'll allow you to use basically any Bluetooth controller to play the games. And basically, they give you 30 or 40 games, $6 a month, play them anywhere. They're unlimited, and they keep adding games to the service. They also will have channels in the future, like the Ubisoft channel, which will be extra, but it basically opens up the library to all the Ubisoft games. So in a way, this is doing something different than Stadia, where at the entry level you get a whole library of games versus you're paying for the access at the highest resolution, and they give you a couple of games a month. This is just Game Pass streaming, but with Amazon doing it and charging $6 a month. I had a pretty good experience. I thought it went pretty well, but I was also playing on a pretty good connection. I don't know how it would go if you played off your phone, if you tethered it and used it for your Wi-Fi service. But we're going to talk about paid services in the future. But Sean, say if your grandmother no longer had a gaming PC or a console, this would be excellent for her. Just say, hey, Grandma, all you need is a Bluetooth controller, and you can play on any type of device, a tablet or whatever. So I don't know, Sean, have you ever thought about, are you at all interested in like a streaming service for gaming?
Yeah, I think maybe I would be. I feel like it's hard to tell right now since I'm home all the time, as everyone is. So I'm not like out and about, where I think on your device it makes a whole lot of sense. And then I think all of us we have like consoles or PCs where we can, when we are at home, play on that. But I think it makes a lot of sense for, I don't know, the everyday person who doesn't own consoles, that just it comes with like Luna's, if it's on your Philips TV or whatever, and you just turn it on and it's like, oh, use whatever controller you have and you can start playing this really nice game that has ray tracing through your TV. I think that's where it can make a lot of sense. But for me, I don't know. I think the thing that's made it make the most sense is, you mentioned Ubisoft service. With I think it works this way with Stadia. I'm not sure about Luna, but where you can pay for Ubisoft's monthly service, and you get to play those games like on whatever you're playing it on, so like Xbox or Stadia or possibly Luna. So that sounds better, where I only have to buy the game in one place, or the service in this case, as opposed to having to rebuy a game on my Xbox and then on Stadia or whatever, so that I could play it when I'm not home. That doesn't sound great to me.
That's a great point about the Stadia. I didn't think about that, because Stadia does have a free component of their service. It doesn't come with any games, and it's a lower resolution. But the fact that you could play the Ubisoft catalog without having a device is kind of cool, because I don't think Ubisoft has their own streaming service yet. So, and for Ubisoft, it's like, hey, if somebody else wants to do the heavy lifting, we'll just have our games there, and that kind of makes sense. So there maybe is a place for this as I rethink about it. It's not a one size fits all, so why not do this?
And I was very excited about it in the case of Xbox Series X, and I think regular Xbox One as well at this point, where I know they have xCloud, but you also can stream directly from your console to a device. Which I tried, though. I was like, oh, that'd be great if I'm again, it's not very often, but if I'm not home and want to keep playing, or if I'm outside and want to keep playing something I was playing like inside my house. But it didn't work that great. There was a lot of lag, even though I was on Wi-Fi right up with the console, so that was a pretty big disappointment. And as you mentioned earlier, with the Mark you mentioned with the controller, I tried to use my Xbox Series X controller, that didn't work, and then I went to use my old Xbox One controller, also didn't work. Then I had to find one that had the Bluetooth in it because that wasn't made until a little while later.
Oh, that's right.
But I eventually found one out of my like 8 Xbox controllers, a couple of them worked, so. But there's just too much lag.
Yeah, that's been my experience too. Is like you said, basically when I'm home. There's consoles everywhere. There's so many choices, and the time I'd want to use some sort of streaming service or casting service or whatever are usually the times when the Wi-Fi is not as good as it is home. So when I'm at the cottage or traveling somewhere, like whatever, like when we can travel again, but like, I've gone to my cottage a few times, including this past weekend, and the connection there is just not great. So it doesn't matter, what I'm trying to do. It's just whether it's, like you said, streaming something that's hardwired back at my house and should be giving a pretty good connection, or grabbing something down from the cloud. It's cool in theory, but the infrastructure for me personally isn't quite there for where I want it to be, basically. So, bring me an unlimited 5G data plan in a couple of years, and I can stream this to my phone when I'm down at the beach. Well, let's go. But for right now, it's just I need something that's quick and reliable.
I guess you guys do have data caps on your 5G up there, don't you? I think mine might be.
I don't even. I'm not sure about the 5G plans, honestly. I should ask my brother. He just got an iPhone 12 Pro, which is 5G compatible. My 11 Pro is not, so I have not looked into any 5G plans, and work pays for my cell phone, so I don't look into data caps at all either. So,
Mark, we saw you used all this data to play Xbox. What happened there?
Yeah, I'm a bad person to ask about data caps, but that's going to be an interesting thing in the next couple of years. Is 5G and if it's capped and that kind of stuff. So it'd be definitely. I think this is setting the groundwork for the next few years, but I think right now it's a little ahead of its time in most cases.
Yeah, and I think Amazon's in an interesting position because they have devices that they basically can do the Trojan horse for the service. Mm-hmm. Say, oh, your first month, or with Amazon Prime now you get Luna for free or a discount.
Yeah.
So they have a way to make this work that I think a lot of other companies really struggle with. And I think where this is going to happen with a lot of these services, it's going to be the entryway into a lot of Asian markets where they have a great network, but they aren't really interested in having consoles. So I think this is the way that Xbox and other places can really get an entry point in those regions. But yeah, it's there if you can try it out. I think they have open trials still, and then they'll eventually. I definitely recommend you try it first on your systems to see how well it works. And if you like it, and hey, your kids, $6 a month and gives them something to do, and not having to buy or share another console with them. Like me and my son, holy cow, that's why I got another Xbox, because we were sharing a PC that didn't work very well. So try out Luna and see if you like it, guys. That moves us into the news section. Man, it's really cool to talk about all these cool games, but we want to talk about what's happening in the world of gaming news. And we've been away for 2 weeks, so some things have happened. So, Sean, you're going to talk about a game that I just don't understand.
Yeah, my story would be that a new Pokemon Snap is coming to the Switch on April 30th. It was announced, and Pokemon Snap was probably one of my favorite games. When I was a kid, I was the one that would take my cartridge to Blockbuster, stick it in the machine, print out my pictures of my Pokemons.
Wow.
So yeah, it was a one of my favorite games back then. And as I was talking earlier about Bugsnax, it's very kind of similar thing where it's just scratching my itch of letting me get all the things, and it's pretty mellow in terms of looks like it'll be the same where you're just kind of floating through the world and don't have to do a lot except for kind of turn your head and do the puzzles that may be there and catch them all.
Yeah. Yeah. I showed this game to my wife, this trailer, and she's not big on the main Pokemon franchise, but I was like, did you ever play Pokemon Snap when we were kids, back on the 64? I was like, did your brothers ever introduce you to that? And she was like, no, never heard of it. Not a clue. She was like, not really interested in Pokemon. I was like, I think you're going to be interested in this one. She's like, well, and she thinks Pokemon are cute, but she's never gotten into the games. And she was like, I don't think so. And I showed her the trailer, and like halfway through the trailer, she's like, damn it. I was like, what's wrong? And she's like, oh, well, you're right, and I don't like that as a precedent. So anyway, I think she is going to be very interested in this game, and I can't wait to play it, especially with her there. It's going to be so much fun.
Okay, so I'm going to be the person that, like, I truly don't understand this. How is this a $60 game, guys? I just really, this is like a amusement park ride, right? Because you're on a track, and they said the puzzle is to get these animals to do things. I just fail to see how this is a $60 game. I could see this being a $10 mobile app.
How can you put a price on taking pictures of Pokemon?
Well, Nintendo can.
No, I agree. In the world of Pokemon Go, where you can literally take a picture with any Pokemon in the real world using AR and whatever, does feel a little weird, especially if this game is kind of as short and contained as the original, I guess. So I'm hoping it's quite expanded and a little bit more diverse, I guess. But I know where you're coming from.
This is like they're charging $60 for a photo mode. Sorry. I mean, considering photo mode is now a thing, right? And there's no camera actually in the Switch anymore. So, yeah, it seems like this would have been perfect. It was like an AR game, and the Switch had a camera, right? And you could see through it, and it would be, wow, catching Pokemon in the wild like Pokemon Go. And, yeah, I just don't understand this. A lot of these Nintendo things, I guess there's something there. I'm just that old guy. My son saw it. He's like, I understand it either, Dad. So at least I'm not alone. It's one of those things. But I do remember the Blockbuster kiosks for this game, right? So that's really where I remember this game. Like, okay, it's a thing.
Yeah, I definitely agree with, like, I do hope it is a bigger game than we probably expect. And Nintendo is definitely not shied away from putting games out for $60 that don't have much, like Mario Tennis is probably one of my favorite Switch games and is amazing, but there's barely anything in that game for being $60.
Yeah, for sure. Slight sidetrack, Sean. I have to ask, what is your favorite mainline Pokemon game? Or like generation?
Yeah, definitely the first one, which is the only one I've honestly really ever gotten. I've tried to play like every one since then, and I'll stop after like, I don't know, at most like 10 hours. It's not the same.
What's your starter?
Definitely always Charmander, which I later learned was the hard one, but yeah, he was the coolest.
BFFs instantly. Always fire for sure. But yeah, Charmander, absolutely.
Got to turn into a dragon.
So I'm really offended. Mark has never asked me who my starting Pokemon is.
I thought you were like anti-Pokemon. What's your starter Pokemon then, Todd?
Crapamon. Crepazor. I don't know. Just kidding. No. I liked the Pokemon movie, and I used to watch the Pokemon anime. That's about as far as I got.
I would have believed that was really a Pokemon, because I have no idea at this point.
Yeah. Well, there is like a garbage, like a trash bag Pokemon. Like it's a literal bag of garbage that's a Pokemon. So that
Mark, I am not surprised by that at all. There's a garbage Pokemon.
Yeah, it is an actual trash bag. Yeah, that's fine.
But you know what would be awesome,
Todd, we'll have a Pokemon episode soon.
Oh, I hope we do. But you know what would be awesome, Mark? If somebody created a headset that you could catch them all with.
Oh, that would be interesting. However, seems like that's a lofty ambition. Or is it? Apparently, Apple is working on an AR VR headset kind of thing. Apparently, the first one is going to be a more traditional VR headset. They're still working on, this has been rumored for a while, like Apple glasses, which would be more of an AR type thing, which I think would lead itself into more Pokemon Go style, like, it was on your phone and now it's in your eyeballs. Here's Pokemon Go 2. But this one's going to be VR. Evidently, they're aiming for very high. So it's going to be kind of like the Oculus Quest, but it's going to be like the fanciest version of it, which is crazy, but not out of the ordinary for Apple, I suppose. If you follow what their stuff is, they'll release headphones and stuff that it's like, why would you price them like that? But people buy them anyway. So Apple's been acquiring companies for years, VR companies, holographic companies, AR companies. And apparently sooner rather than later, we're going to see this VR headset. And again, it's going to be, they want this to be like the top end of headsets. So that I really don't think this is going to be like a mass consumer product. I think they're going to go pretty niche with this one. It's going to be very expensive. I think they're going to let Oculus Quest do its thing of being like, this is the VR for everyone. And Apple's going to price this one where it's going to be kind of similar to like a Mac Pro, where they might sell one a day and they're happy with that. And that's cool for now. And they're learning some lessons. But personally, I mean, at that kind of price point, like I've been going back and forth on the price of Oculus Quest. Like, so this one's not going to be super appealing to me, but I'm kind of interested to see what Apple does in this space, because they've been trying to get more into gaming recently, and they have had some stuff where they're like, yeah, the new iMac is awesome, or the iMac Pro, I think when they revealed that, they were like, this is going to be awesome for VR, and then they never kind of mentioned it again. And so when that kind of stuff happens, and whether it's other companies kind of dropping the ball or Apple dropping the ball, but I find like if you follow Apple for a while, when that kind of stuff happens and it's like, yeah, you can, plug in your HTC Vive and it's going to be really good or whatever, your Oculus or this or that. And then the support's not there on the software side. Apple in the past has been pretty good to be like, well, you know what? Screw it. We have Apple Arcade now. We're going to add VR titles to the Apple Arcade thing, and it's going to work on this headset. Day one, you're going to have access to 100 games, and here you go, or very cool experiences. But I'm more looking forward to what they do in AR, because I think that's kind of more of an interesting space that hasn't been explored yet. But should be kind of interesting to see what they do with VR. And if these rumors are true, I would love to see them do Apple VR and Apple VR Pro, where one's priced kind of like normally, and then the other one could be the Pro level or whatever. But we'll see. What do you guys think of this rumor?
I have kind of no hope for AR at this point, so it's not super exciting for me. I feel like it's never really. People have tried so many different things with AR, like games or, I don't know, putting your IKEA furniture in places and whatever it may be, looking through your phone to look at things like Pokemon. But I don't feel like any of them have ever really made the experience any better, except for maybe putting your IKEA furniture in your room. That might be the only good use of AR. But I love VR. I have a Vive and have had the OG Vive. So that might be cool. Like if it can compete with the Quest and just use your phone, maybe. I don't know how the price point will actually come out, but if it somehow was around the same or cheaper but better, it could be cool. But I don't know. I don't know if I trust Apple anymore. Like I've not been super excited by them at this point.
It's interesting because who I think did AR really in a fun way was when Nintendo did the 3DS and their AR, and they have those AR games. And it kind of like they gave it a very limp try because they didn't really expand upon it. And then the Switch came out and it didn't even have a camera. And I'm like, I guess they've given up on AR, because that would have been the perfect, it's on the go and you can do fun things with it. And I think that would have been perfect, especially like doing like Pokemon Go, like a companion piece to it. So yeah, it's really frustrating, and it'll be interesting, especially with no Apple stores being even open. I mean, AR, VR, whatever, you have to try it to really understand it.
Yeah.
And without that, I just think it's a hard thing to explain. I mean, selling a watch, a phone, whatever. But I mean, if Apple finds an interesting way to go, and I always said this, and I've always said, VR can do some different things, AR can do some different things, but Mark, remember we talked about that game I wanted to make? It was like what, Handyman VR or whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'm like, if they could teach me how to like do home repairs, or Sean, you mentioned woodworking for yourself. If they could teach me how to do that type of thing in an AR environment, so I don't screw up and I actually learn a valuable skill, I think there's an interesting market there. Kind of like why Oculus got into Facebook, or Facebook got into Oculus. I think it's really bridging the gap between being antisocial and social, or doing different things. And if anybody's going to make it work, it's going to be Apple or Nintendo. I really do.
Yeah.
But yeah, to this point, if they're going to make it a premium experience, and I think they even said we're only going to sell one per week per store, I'm like,
yeah,
that's crazy, and I don't know how you get there. So I don't know. Maybe they just go the ultra exclusive route, like their what is it, the Mac Tower or whatever, Mark? That's like $7,000.
That's what I mentioned. Yeah, the Mac Pro.
Yeah.
And that's basically, if they're selling one per week per store, that is exactly the same pace that they sell the Mac Pros. So yeah, I'm not super high on this being like a consumer product for everyone. On the AR front, they are doing some stuff that makes it more interesting to me, with LiDAR being first on the iPad Pro and now on the new phones. And if you haven't used LiDAR before, you might not get how much it can change AR, but it is a game changer for that kind of realm. And throwing it right now, like the iPad Pro that I'm using, has LiDAR, and I've used a couple of little apps and stuff, but for the most part, like, there's nothing been really delivered on it. But I think they're really using that as a test bed and a developer tool to be like, yeah, when you point your camera at a surface, if you've used AR on any other device, you have to move it around, and it kind of tries to get how big something is or how close it is to you. With LiDAR, it's pretty much just instant. You point it at something, it knows the distance, it knows the size, it knows the shape, it knows where it is in a 3D realm, and can really map a full room very, very accurately. So it doesn't take too long to think of how that can be utilized for an AR headset, or even utilized in the VR space. So with those kind of technologies in the phones and iPads and whatever, that's the kind of stuff that's making me really excited for what they can. And we've seen that in VR headsets before, when I think is it the Quest 2 that you can kind of step out and you kind of see the real world if you step out of the box that you draw, right?
Yep, it does. Yeah, it's a black and white camera that shows you your real world. Yeah, which is nice.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff, you can easily kind of see that kind of thing being integrated into this headset. But I think the next few years are going to be really interesting in both VR and AR. So that's what's exciting me about this story. There's one more story that I wanted to talk about, but we covered it a bit on Holocron Chronicles. So I'm going to say go listen to the last episode and then go listen to the next episode, because we'll be covering all the Star Wars stuff there. But basically, Lucasfilm Games is now a thing. They're making a new Star Wars game. They're making a new Indiana Jones game. And it's very exciting if you're a Star Wars nerd. And also, very recently, they're making apparently a Knights of the Old Republic game, reportedly in development without EA and BioWare. Very quickly, what do you guys think about all of that?
I'm mainly excited for EA not to have the exclusive rights anymore, since they did kind of take so long to get a few games out there. The few games they did put out were really good, but I'm excited to see other companies kind of take control and see what they can do, especially the Indiana Jones game. I don't have a big affinity for Indiana Jones, but I think Machine Games, that's who's doing it right. They could do a really good job with that.
I love killing Nazis, and BJ Blazkowicz did such a good job doing it in Indiana. He's a little more stylish in his killing of Nazis, so I think that it's a great combination there. But to the KOTOR, I have KOTOR. I've tried KOTOR a couple different times when it first launched, and I've struggled with that game. It's Sean Cree was actually just playing that game, and I'm like, the story's fantastic, but I feel it's like a game that's kind of weighted down by its systems, and it's kind of antiquated in a way in regards to the way you interact in battle and things like that. So and because we got Machine Games making Indiana Jones, this kind of leads me to the fact that, would they go to Obsidian, who made KOTOR 2, and say, hey, Obsidian, when you're not done, when you're not busy doing 85 other things, would you want to either remake the KOTOR games, or would you want to make a third KOTOR game and then play around with that license? Because Disney likes to play with people they know, and Microsoft has been a good partner with them in the past, and they know the licenses, so that would make sense. But I think it's perfect. I think KOTOR is a great license, and it's an area they can play with, and they don't have to worry about it interacting with their new movies and their new TV content.
The new content too. KOTOR I've never played. I know people love it, but I am excited about it just because of the Star Wars has been diving pretty deep into the High Republic kind of new setting, so that could be really cool to just finally see a new time period in the Star Wars universe and not have to worry about like tying into this existing lore as much.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
I'm excited for just the canon ramifications of a new KOTOR game. What are they going to be bringing forward from the old games? Like Todd, you said, if this is a sequel, then instantly all that stuff is pushed into canon. If this is a new or a remake or something, will they be kind of canonizing the entire story? So it's very exciting, again, for Holocron Chronicle stuff. We'll be speculating on the next episode, but that show is all about Star Wars canon. So if you haven't been listening, check it out bi-weekly with Charlie and I, right here on the Secret Friends main feed, or we have our solo feed as well. So that's my little plug for that, but we'll be kind of watching that story as it develops. Todd, what do you have for us?
Well, I just have one comment. Mark, does Charlie let you talk about video games on the Holocron Chronicles?
Clearly you didn't listen to the last episode, because yes he
Well,
does.
Lego yes. Lego yes. But
no, we talked about the whole Lucasfilms game thing on the last episode. Obviously the KOTOR news is brand new, so we'll be talking about that next week. But Charlie is here's the thing, as long as it's canon, Charlie's all game for it. So if I can cover some video game stuff that's being added to the canon, Charlie's like, talk about it. Let's get it in there, because that's what the show is all about. So that's my way of sneaking that stuff in. And
perfect.
He was the one that pitched it last time. I was so impressed, because I thought I'd have to fight, and he was just like, no, let's talk about it. This is exciting. I was like, who is this?
Who is that?
What have you done with Charlie?
Sean, just to give you a little background, Charlie's my co-host on my Geek Media podcast. We were college roommates. He hates video games, so I can never bring up video games on that podcast. That's why I created this podcast. And the fact that Mark's got it in, man, oh man. But and actually, one last point. A lot of the people that were BioWare when KOTOR was made have long left BioWare. So there's likely those people that were behind that game are available to come in and develop again.
Yeah, very exciting stuff.
Yeah. So we talked about the RE8 Village game. They had their event. A lot of people were disappointed. Resident Evil's 25th anniversary. We thought we were going to get all this new news, and essentially we just got Resident Evil Village. We got a release date, all the different versions. It's going to come out on current generation with next gen patches. There's some exclusive limited edition versions, and there's also going to be a new Resident Evil multiplayer game, which they've never succeeded with a multiplayer Resident Evil mode. They've tried, it's just never worked out. There was like the last one with the director, and it just failed. So we thought that we were going to get the next Resident Evil remake, and they're silent, but we're hearing rumors about potentially what's going to happen next. So they've been doing this like main core, like 7 and 8 storyline, and then they remake the previous games. And so as of right now, Resident Evil 1 kind of got a remake back in the day on the GameCube. Resident Evil 2, Resident Evil 3 got remakes. So people are wondering what's next. And people are like, well, it's Resident Evil 4. Well, I'm like, hold on now. There was a little game called Resident Evil Code Veronica that came out on the Dreamcast on PlayStation 2 as well. And that game has not aged well. And it's been updated for like a HD port that's not bad. So it's like at this point I'm like, well, what should they do? So, gentlemen, I'm not sure your experience with Resident Evil, what you like, what you don't like, but I have never really played more than a little bit of Code Veronica, but I loved 4. But I'm all in on a Code Veronica if they can update it and make it really cool like the RE2 and RE3 games.
Yeah, I don't have much experience with that game. So.
Yeah, I don't have much experience with either. Honestly, I watched some friends play Code Veronica when I was younger, and four my friends all loved, and I didn't play a whole lot of it, but I could see them not being very happy about making a remake of it, since I know people love it as is already, and it broke the mold so much from the previous games that I don't know if people will it will be well received as well as the other ones have.
So, Todd, would that mean in 2 years we'll get Resident Evil 0 remake?
You know, I don't know. That game was not highly regarded whatsoever. I actually just bought that because I had like a $5 credit from Xbox for some reason. I bought Zero on the sale that's going on right now. I'm like, I'm going to give that game a try because I love the core series, Resident Evil. But I'll tell you, Zero is a gap that I have with Resident Evil, along with 6. I played a little bit of 6, but I know it's one of the worst modern games. But I'm like, should I just go back and try it? Is it just a really bad idea? I mean, so
I honestly didn't even know that was out for like Xbox or anything.
Oh yeah, they have like a 3, like a Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 is in a collection on Switch, on PS4, Xbox One. So you can still get those. I think it's like $23 for the whole collection. But I loved 4. That was one of the main reasons I got my GameCube, because I'm like, that game is insane. I loved it. So
and that's where I played Zero as well. I didn't realize it went elsewhere. That's
interesting. Yeah, and so those are available. 4 has got an HD port now, so Sean, you could give it a try on maybe the Switch or with kind of like those pointer controls, I think.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4 was to your point, Sean, was a Divergent. It kind of reinvigorated that series, and a lot of people love it and have played it a million times. But it's on every stinking system right now, so there's no lack of Resident Evil 4 availability. But Code Veronica, I think, is only available like in a crappy version that nobody really put any time and effort into it. But apparently there are reports, though, the Resident Evil 4 remake has had some issues. It's delayed, so if these rumors are apparently true, we will not see a Resident Evil 4 remake until 2023, which is 2 years away. So that's been a gap from traditionally with Resident Evil. We've had like one a year, so that would be a big gap, and maybe they plug it in with a Code Veronica remake. But I can't wait.
You should stay away from 6 because it's just trash.
Yeah, they went like full on commando, like over the top Arnold Schwarzenegger like things to make a really bad game. But I like 5.
Yes,
I
loved 5.
Yeah. Good co-op. Oh well. So let us know, folks, what you're thinking about with an RE series. What do you want next? Maybe they'll bring out one of those really bad. You remember all those Wii games for the Resident Evil series where they were like shooter games? Maybe we'll get those. Bring those back.
I would actually. We were talking about this the other. My wife and I, when we first started dating, would play House of the Dead. Is it House of the Dead Overkill for the Wii?
Mm-hmm. Oh, and
yeah. We had the light guns and stuff that you'd plug the Wii remote into. Like, I'd straight up love one of those if they did a good light gun on something. And I know it's not as easy now as like plugging in just like a Joy-Con or something. I guess it could be because we did the VR thing with the shooting mechanic, and I've been talking about Galaxy. So light gun some Switch stuff for me. I want to play some zombie shooting games. Let's get on this.
I'd love to get that, but come with a like old monitor CRT TV, so that way it can work like the way it's meant to be.
If you guys look into all these people that want to bring back light guns, what you have to do to get light guns on an LCD or LED TV,
that's crazy.
It's kind of really expensive, very crazy. But VR, that's the home of shooter games. There's definitely so many crazy ones, and they're super cheap. Yeah, that's where you want to go. Well, there you go. So that is it for news this week. We get into the bonus round now, gentlemen. We're going to talk about a big story that was in the news, but we're going to break it down to a topic. And that was the fact that Xbox put out a press release on a Friday, of course. When do you bury the news? Put on a press release on a Friday. Nobody will pay attention unless you're on Twitter and you're a gamer. And that is Xbox. We're going to increase the price of Xbox Live. They were incremental pricing. It ended up being that essentially was going to go to 6 months, is now the same cost as a full year of Xbox Live. And if you wanted a year, it would essentially be double the current price. They weren't adding any extra features. And this got the internet in a tizzy, including myself, I have to say.
Mm-hmm.
I took a stand. Maybe it was like 6 hours later. They completely reversed course. And along the way, not only did they do that, but then they finally said, hey, all those free-to-play games that you've been having to pay for on Xbox Live just to play online, those are now free to play. No Xbox Live Gold to play. So where are we actually at the idea of paid services in regards to just playing a game online with your friends? Currently on PS Plus, it's $60. It's online, but you get monthly games. Similar to Xbox Live Gold. Very similar, same price as it used to be and how it's going to be now. Free to play is those games, free to play games are free on PS Plus. You don't need PS Plus service. Nintendo Online, it's $20 for one person or $35 for a family. It's online is that cost, but you also get the NES, SNES, and some of the extra games that are online for that service. Xbox Live Gold, like we said, $60 a year. And then the only other way you can get online play is you pay for Game Pass Ultimate, $180 a year, but you get Xbox Live, PC, Xbox Game Pass, and streaming plus EA Play. And if you're on PC, you don't pay a damn thing. Everything, Stadia, Steam, Uplay Plus, Epic, Luna, and EA Play are all free. And with this, we actually got a report that apparently was saying Microsoft needs to find a solution to increase revenue per Xbox user. So ultimately, it feels like this move they made was to push people to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, which was essentially going to take from $60 a year to $180 a year. So there we are, gentlemen. I laid it out. What are your thoughts about this? Should online gaming be free? Or is there value in paying a service for it?
Yeah, it definitely, to me, needs to be free at this point. Like, there was a time when, I'm not even sure if it was a time when, but Xbox was probably, or Microsoft was probably paying for the servers to like host multiplayer games at one point. But now it definitely doesn't make any sense where all the developers, to my knowledge, are using their own servers. They have to in a lot of cases where you're at this point now doing cross-platform, so you need everyone to play together. So you're hosting the servers yourself as they would on like PC. So at that point, Xbox is just giving you the Xbox experience, I guess, at that point, friends list and voice chat and cloud saves. And I don't know, I just think this was a real bad move for them in general. Us as gamers, it makes sense to move, or like gamers that play more games, I guess, makes more sense to try to move you to Game Pass. But most people I know, they're playing 1 to 2 games a year, and like they might be like, oh, I want to play Resident Evil 5 with my buddy tonight because I haven't done that in a while. They don't want to pay $120 a year to do that, like, or play Fortnite as their one game for forever. So yeah. I just don't think it makes sense anymore. And it was I don't think a good move to just get to kind of point to what people were already paying for and say this is trash now, it costs too much money, so now move over to our cooler thing. It's like that's not the way you should be going about it.
Yeah, I think like on to that point, I think for what you get, like Xbox to me has the infrastructure. I've played on Switch, which their online is terrible. Anyone that's tried to travel to another island in Animal Crossing, it's like that at that point you're getting what you're paying for, and it's not quite worth $20. I think it's still you're getting jerked around there a bit. With Xbox, it's at least reliable. You're getting the party chat. The big seamless thing for me that I love is the cloud saves, the backups, all that kind of stuff that I can I could go in the next room and light my Xbox on fire, pick up a new one tomorrow, and within minutes my profile and the game saves, everything's just there and backed up, which I love. And I pay for other things like iCloud storage and stuff, so my phone is the same way. All my photos are backed up, and I'm happy to pay for that kind of service, even if it didn't mean that's the only way to play online. And I'm glad that this brought around some change to, if you're just playing Fortnite, you don't have to have this subscription anymore. It did bring some positive change at the end of the day. But I also what were they thinking? Like, You see Netflix do this, and they're like, every few months they're like, hey, we're raising prices by $1, but we've got a bunch of original content, and that's what you're paying for. I just got that email from Netflix like this week or last week saying like, hey, we're going up a tiny bit in price, but also here's what we're working on, and here's what we released this year, and here's our next plan, and we're doing all this good stuff. Like, and that's only up by $1. These guys are like, hey, we're going to charge you double. Like, double. Like if they were like, hey, we're going to raise prices by 5%, 10%, whatever, like 100 freaking percent. What were they possibly even thinking there? And I know people are saying like, oh, they're trying to push, but like for a company that's been hitting home run after home run after home run with like good PR and for the gamers and like just positive stuff for the last like 2 years, easy. This was the most tone deaf thing I've seen come out of gaming in a very long time. And it just floored me. Like, Todd, I know you kind of got up in our, I was too shocked to be angry, which is saying something. Like that was my reaction to this. And I'm a Game Pass Ultimate subscriber. I've got Game Pass Ultimate up the wazoo for like another year and a half. I'm not worried about this. This does not affect me at all. But I was still so shocked that I couldn't even be angry. And now I'm thinking about it and I'm like, this is the stupidest thing. Like at the time I was just so, but luckily they reversed this quick enough that I never had time to be angry. And like I said, some good stuff came from it, but like mercy, how did this get past anything but like a table discussion where some jackass in a suit was like, we should double the prices, and someone else slapped them for being stupid? Like, how did this go past that? Like, okay, maybe another like $2 a month or something like that. Let's change it over time, and then maybe next year we'll raise it a tiny bit more or something, try to get some people in Game Pass. But like, man, that's just crazy. Just so tone deaf.
With Ultimate, as you mentioned, I did the same thing as you, I think, where we just kind of stacked up the 3 years by transferring it from gold. So I paid $120 like a year and a half ago, whatever it was, for 3 years. But then you mentioned it's $180 a year. I was like, say what now? So that's the way to actually do it. They got me hooked there. Now I'll keep paying for that once it does actually start charging me. But then this.
Yeah, there's no discount for Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. There's no like, if I get a year, I get a discount. There's not. You pay.
Well, what I do now is wait for sales. So you'll see it like every once in a while, it'll go on sale and it'll be like 3 months of Game Pass Ultimate and it's 40% off. And I'll buy like, 1 or 2 codes. It'll say, 2 codes per household. I'll get the 2 of them there and just stack it on. So like right now, again, even for Christmas, my brother gave me, I think, another 3 months. Like I did, I think around Black Friday, I got another couple of, 3-month cards. So again, I just keep stacking it that way. So I'm never going to pay full price for Game Pass. And I'm convinced that I'm just going to keep getting these cards and I will never pay full price. But eventually it might catch up and I'll be like, shoot, here's $180.
Yeah, you can only stack up to 3 years. The Xbox Access program, apparently you can't stack that and that together. So there's going to be a reckoning, I think, and it's going to happen eventually.
They'll get you. Yeah,
exactly. Get you. This is not new for Xbox. They were the pioneers for charging for online. They started charging back in the OG Xbox for the service, and it made sense because it was a pioneering. Microsoft was not known for servers back in the day, so they used a lot of this money to actually fund those servers. Now everything Xbox does and Microsoft does is server-based. Use Microsoft Teams, everything's cloud-based. So there's really not a lot of money they actually have to spend to do this. So there's really no expense there. So our costs have gone up, but you know what? You've already sunk your money into the infrastructure. So for this to actually do online gaming stuff is it's not expensive to them. But they also used to paywall Netflix. You had to have Xbox Gold Live to get Netflix. They're not akin to saying we're going to be kind and gentle and do this. Microsoft is not doing any of this stuff to be kind. They want to get as much money out of the consumer, and by getting a subscription out of them, gets monthly revenue out of consumers. They're a company. They make billions and trillions of dollars. We have basically milked Microsoft at this point with all those deals. But they eventually want $15 a month from you, not a discount with that full service price. And the fact that they actually got this out there, it wasn't like they snuck this past Phil Spencer, and he's like, oh, I can't believe you did that. No, Phil knew this, and he's like, how far can we push this? And now it's like, we can still charge $60, and we're still going to be good. And we're going to give you an olive branch to basically do what everybody else was doing. I'm mad that they tried to get away with it. They got caught. Microsoft finally decided to see if they could push the button again, and they got pushed back, and I'm glad that people held them accountable. So I'm excited to see where we go from here. Online is not an uncommon thing anymore, and online is kind of like the new democracy. Everything on PC is free. It's not saying you're going to get a lesser experience now if you don't pay for online. It's basically saying online isn't very expensive to do anymore. So I think we've got to get away with that. If you're going to get a much better experience if you pay for it. Now, Nintendo, for some reason, they started charging, and their online experience didn't improve, which is just weird and crazy. So I guess where do we go from there? But what do you guys think?
Hey, we got an app that you can talk to your friends with if you have a Squid dongle.
And you can play what? Is it 3 games or Mark?
I think that's being generous.
Do you think paying for online will be something we're doing in the next 5 years?
I don't think so, especially with like one of the things that you do get, as we talked about earlier, is you do get their system of like friends lists and voice chat and stuff. But most people I know at this point, they're just getting on Discord, and then they're not using any of that stuff anyway. So I think it's moving in that direction, whether it's Discord or someone else. And then, like you said, on PC, you're getting the online playing for free over there. So I don't think it's going to last much longer. But you might be paying for like you said, Mark, with getting cloud saves or something like that, other features that are not just playing online.
Yeah, I don't think this, like the monthly subscription thing, is going away anytime soon. Of course, Microsoft wants to move people over to Game Pass Ultimate, and the easy way is to say, like the value's there. Like you don't need to have like the Xbox Live online multiplayer aspect of it. Like there's access to over 100 great games that you can instantly download whenever you want, especially when they have xCloud streaming and streaming from your console and all that kind of stuff. Running on iOS devices is going to be a huge get for them, whether it's through an app and Apple finally smartens up and lets them do that, or they're running through a browser. However they figure it out, that's just going to be added value. If they're continuing with Xbox Live as a standalone service, I think, yeah, exactly what you just said. Like, I think changing the message of what you're getting with that, stop focusing on, oh, this allows you to play online. Like, who cares at this point? That is such table stakes. But being able to say online backups, reliable, this, plus you're getting, even with gold, you're still getting free games. So say, every month you're guaranteed to get $60 worth of free games or $120 worth of free games for your, your subscription or whatever it is, right? Like they always have the price amount on the games that they give away every month. I think there's other ways to message this, and I think it's time for the marketing teams behind these things to be like, you know what? Everyone knows that online gaming can be free here, there, and everywhere. Here's what Xbox Live Gold offers. And I think it's focusing on all those other things that are quality of life of, hey, your Xbox Series consoles are basically high-end PCs or mid-range PCs, but there's a lot of shit that can go wrong. Don't you want that to be backed up safely in the cloud? Yes, I do. Cool. Give me $60 a year. Thumbs up. Like, it's that kind of stuff that like we're used to paying for those services with our cell phones or with this or that or whatever. Mm-hmm. We're used to paying subscription services with Netflix and, Crave, Hulu, wherever you are, whatever is there. There are so many other ways to spin these services rather than saying like, oh, pay us to play online with your friend. Like, frig off. There's so many more things that they can be focusing on that these services already offer, that personally, again, I'm happy to pay for this ongoing, for backups, for free games, for whatever. That I don't even think that this is what lets me play Fortnite with my nephew. Like, That's not a thought. So stop talking about it. Like they need to market this better.
Yeah, and it's funny because actually, Mark, I'm going to correct you actually. Xbox basically backup saves are free. You don't need Xbox Live Gold.
Well, they should change that.
They're the pioneer, because I will say that's where Nintendo Online and PS Plus, they fail because you have to pay for your backup online, which is dumb.
Well, so yeah, that is dumb, but at least it's one of those things that you could add to that and just make it a little bit value added. Like I get that from a marketing standpoint, like, and it's not free to store my backup and cloud saves and all that kind of stuff. Like I'm happy paying for that. So you just broke me. So I don't know. Everything I just said is wrong.
It might be more space, I would guess. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah. So,
well, Google Drive, you get 5 gigabytes free. They could just get it from Xbox, right? Yeah. Or what is it? OneDrive. With your OneDrive account, you get the free backup. So I think everybody needs to fix their online, scenario, because Nintendo finally charged you for online. PlayStation started with PS4, so I think we just need to move forward and just reposition the value of these services and what they bring. And I think people would be fine with the Nintendo Flicks or whatever they call that, with basically the Netflix, because you're getting a value with that service to play those games. With PS Plus, you get a lot of value with those 4 games or 3 games they give you a month, and same thing with games with gold. But I think we could see all of this change, and I hope we do, because putting those barriers on to the people that, like, if you buy a kid an Xbox Series S or a One S and he just wants to play Fortnite with his buddies, don't charge him $120 to do it.
Yeah, I'm happy that's free now.
I do. I agree as well. We want to say thank you to Sean for joining us. Great to have you on. We want people to check you out. So how can they do that online?
Yeah, it was great being here. Thank you very much. I'd love to come back. You can find me on Twitter at Sean Madigan, SeanMadigan. You can check me out on the music services like Spotify, Apple Play, whatever it is, or Google Play, at Sean Madigan, or my band, The Knives of Kwansu.
Maybe we could put a song of yours at the end so people can hear what you sound like.
Oh, definitely. That'd be great.
With that, though, Mark, tell people how they can find Secret Friends and Co-op Mode Podcast.
Oh, mercy. I was just following Sean. Okay, back to it. Okay, you can follow us on Twitter at co_opmode_pod. You can follow Todd at Toxtra and myself at _Canardian. Of course, we appreciate you leaving any kind of reviews for podcasts, so leave an Apple Podcast review. However, if you do that, make sure you screenshot it and send it to us, because I can't see United States reviews and Todd cannot see Canadian reviews. So it's great for us to know when there is a review left in whatever country you are in. We also have some shirts and swag and a whole bunch of other fun stuff over at TeePublic. So search us there, Secret Friends Unite. There's a whole network of stuff. So Code 47, Secret Friends Unite proper, Holocron Chronicles, which we talked about here, and of course Co-op Mode. So you can find merch for all of us over on TeePublic.
I just want to say we did get a review recently. Yes, and I want to read it because this is from a friend of mine, a.k.a. Dr. Dangler, Sean Seitz. He says, the Secret Friends Co-op series is an excellent review and evaluation of games in the gaming community. The hosts are fun and witty, making the series a lot of fun. And he says it's all that in a bag of chips, 5-star. So thank you, Sean Seitz, for that review.
Thank you. That's great. Sean's are great.
Sean, whether it's SHAWN, SEAN, I've had so many Seans that have been important in my life. We love all Seans. So I guess that's it. So Sean, thank you for joining us. Mark, thank you for being an excellent co-host. And as always, folks, it's always better to game together.
Scuba